So who was the author that recorded this incredible history of the birth of Jesus? Luke is identified in the book of Acts as a medical doctor. Now understand, being a medical doctor in the first century was not something that came with years of study in the university. Being a medical doctor, in fact, was not a highly respected position because they would charge a lot and they would be pretty ineffective. We don't know much about Luke's proficiency as a medical doctor, but what we do know is that Luke as an author is very intentional. He writes a 2-volume work, both of them addressed to someone named Theophilus. Theophilus means lover of God. So it may have been a person or it may have been a category of people, God followers. Luke chapter 1, verses 1 to 4. Many people have set out to write accounts about the events that have been fulfilled among us. They use the eyewitness reports circulating among us from the early disciples. Having carefully investigated everything from the beginning, I also have decided to write a careful account for you, most honorable Theophilus, so that you can be certain of the truth of everything you were taught. Luke, of all of the gospel writers, is the one that was not an eyewitness or writing for an eyewitness. Matthew and John were the disciples of those names. Mark wrote for Peter, but Luke traveled with Paul. Luke has a little bit more of an objective posture as he writes these events. He has apparently traveled and talked to many people. He makes reference to the eyewitness accounts. And then later on here in the book of Luke, chapter 2, verse 19, says, after the shepherds visited Joseph and Mary and the baby Jesus, Mary kept all these things in her heart and thought about them often. And then later in verse 51, when this now after Jesus's bar mitzvah, which took place in the temple when he was 12 years old, they returned to Nazareth with them. Jesus was obedient to them, and his mother stored all these things in her heart. Now, how would Luke have known that unless he talked to Mary? I believe that's exactly what he did. Luke investigated with the eyewitnesses. He follows Mary's account because Mary was still living. Joseph had since died. Luke is a historian. And the gospel that he writes is history writing. We have in Luke's gospel a very straightforward, clear, timed with dates and specified with places, a very clear account of Jesus' birth. It took place in time and history. It's not a myth. It's not a legend. It's real.